Greetings, degenerates. St. Michael here, and you know Hitler, right? Dictator in the 30s and 40s, caused millions of deaths, war. Well, apparently his spirit that has been wandering the ether for decades finally found a true vessel to embody him and imbued itself upon the current president of the United States, who just recently received a standing ovation, open arms, love, admiration by Israel, the Israeli people, for getting Israeli citizens freed from captivity. Pause to digest that stupidity.
Huh?
You good? Yeah, the guy for about a decade now has been labeled with the albatross of Hitler, Nazi, fascist. Yeah, him. Just brokered peace between Islam and Jews, Palestine, Israel, the Middle East as a whole. It's insane. And I am just going to sit here and wait for the fucking inevitable reading backlash by people who say, we need peace in the Middle East, we need free Palestine, we need all this, as they put flags and all this shit in their bio. Funny considering most of these retards couldn't point to Palestine on a map if their life depended on it. You know, no more dead kids, no more, genocide. Well, dead kids is relative. If it's in the Middle East and they can, bank on it, then it's fine. But if it's in the womb of some liberal feminist cunt, well, that's just cells, right? Yeah, okay. But now they're going to claim that this is somehow secret double meaning that World War III is on the way, or as it's currently been being put in the news cycle of Operation Mockingbird, this was actually Biden's plan. Trump just enacted it. So, Biden's plan for the Middle East, you mean that botched Afghanistan pullout that he did? You know, how they promised that it wouldn't look exactly like the pullout from the Carter administration, and yet shot for shot, nearly with the exact helicopter pick, they did just that? His plan? Yeah, that guy who also didn't know where he was at any moment in time orchestrated that? Now you could say, well, then he couldn't have orchestrated the pullout either. But he was still president. When you're a leader, everything is your fault. And every success is someone else's. Narcissists do the inverse. Everything is someone else's fault, and all the good is my doing. And as you can see, Trump's doing just that. He's thanking the people around him. And he's calling on both sides to say, hey, now that you got what you wanted, own up to it. He's even the man who's so-called owned by Israel, owned by Netanyahu, told Netanyahu, be nice to them. Be nice. It's okay to be nice to them, okay? You're not at war with them anymore. That's hold hands now. He's holding both sides of the feet to the fire. But none of that matters because cunts on The View said he would never do it. He could never do it because if Biden can't, no one can. And they said that if he could do it, they would wear a MAGA hat on TV.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But
well, time to buy one, bitch, because it happened. They're going to slither out at the last minute. They have no means to give him any sort of credit. I mean, having the media give Trump any amount of credit is like asking Hulk Hogan in the 80s to lose clean. It's not going to happen. There's always a stipulation, a chair shot, something. He had to always, protect his character, but still could never, ever give someone else credit. Never put someone else over. And the media's not going to. They're not going to put Trump over. They're not going to give him the Nobel Prize, which he really doesn't need. Peace is its own award, as the MCU said. I believe it was. It was Howard or Tony Stark. I can't remember. But they're not going to. And quite frankly, he doesn't need it. He doesn't have to show off that, oh, look, I got the Peace Prize. Who cares? Obama got the Peace Prize for simply being elected the first black president. He got the Peace Prize for something they thought he was going to do and ultimately could not do. And didn't. But let's take a look at this article. And I had to make sure this is truly a news article because it's the Bee. It reads like a Babylon Bee parody article, but it's a legitimate article. Man compared frequently to Hitler gets standing ovation from Israeli parliament for peace deal. Yeah. And this is the world we live in. This is the politics we live in nowadays. On Monday, President Donald Trump, a man labeled fascist and Hitlerian by hundreds of left-wing public figures and retards in college by people who don't know what fascism means, visited the Israeli Knesset to celebrate the return of all hostages held by Hamas and the end of the age of terror and death. Let's take a look at this horrific, racist Nazi. Just like Hitler would have done. This is the exact same ovation that Hitler would have got had he and his Gestapo or his SS marched right into, well, Israel didn't exist back then, but let's say it did, would march right into the Jewish homeland and he would be welcomed with open arms. You people are so far up your own fucking ass, you're seeing the back of your fucking teeth. Fucking hey. The man who is routinely compared to the Nazi leader celebrated the return of the hostages under the peace deal orchestrated by his State Department. Yes, this is what a leader does. President Donald J. Trump delivers remarks on Israel's Knesset in Jerusalem after 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity. 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families. Today the sun rises on the Holy Land, and that is finally at peace. And not only the alive ones, 20 alive ones, I believe 28 of the, unfortunately, deceased ones will also receive some sort of, or be given comfort to their families that they may be put to rest. And while it is sad that they are no longer with us, at least their families can get that. And I've seen the videos of the people being embraced by their family. Oh my God. Look, if you don't feel something watching that, you are truly dead inside. I mean, it's amazing. God bless Trump. Seriously. Literally, Hitler 2.0 called this the new era, the age of faith, hope, and of God, and expressed optimism for what comes next for both Israel and the Middle East. Yes, the man who's called Hitler wants hope, faith, and God. Now, I know a lot of cosplaying alt-righters, and by the way, the alt-right is just the left. They really are. They just circled back and are butt-fucking the left because they're the same thing. You know, they're authoritarian Marxists just under a new fucking title, a new flavor. They just can't admit it because they think commie equals Jew, which is laughably retarded if you actually look at Marx's own words on Jews. Bourgeoisie, which is French for borough, which means city or town folk, was just code for Jew. Marx called capitalism Jewish conspiracy, same as Hitler, only Hitler called communism Jewish conspiracy. See, all these fascist, Marxist, commie, socialists, they were all trying to say that their version was the true version. Like, the Nazis were saying the communists don't have it right, we have it right. The fascists were saying, oh, they don't have it right, we have it right. They were all trying to vie for the idea that they had the best version of just an insanely evil ideology. It's satanic ideology, really. I mean, if you look at, again, Marx's own words, everything that exists deserves to perish. That is his favorite quote. He was a massive suicide poet. His own kids were in suicide pacts. He doesn't care. The man who championed workers' rights, he banged his maid, got her pregnant, and refused to acknowledge that not only was it his, he didn't pay her. Yeah, he had a worker who he did not pay because he kept having to borrow money from his family. The dude was lazy, gross, and just an overall piece of shit. I mean, are you surprised? Look at the people that follow him. Look at the followers for what the founder was like. Kind of gives you an example. But thousands of reading retards online will claim that Hitler was somehow this champion of Christians. He was this based fighter. He wasn't. He wanted to make Jesus this Germanic, blonde man born in Germany. They tried to rewrite the Bible, removing anything Jew from it, which, if you really think about it, that removes the Bible almost entirely. He called it a weak religion. He championed Islam and used Islam to push propaganda in the Middle East. He had the leader of Israel or Jerusalem at the time have a radio show in Germany, spread propaganda. To this day, they still use German-era propaganda to push hate on Jews in the Middle East. There was the German werewolves, who are basically, terror cells. They ended up training what would become many terror cells that we deal with to this day. And while so many will claim that they weren't real, they absolutely were. They just weren't effective because they were at the tail end of the war. Hitler was not Christian. He was not pro-Christian. He hated Christianity. He was a pagan at best. He was an atheist with pagan ideology or iconography. Himmler was a massive pagan. He hated Christianity. He wanted a pre-Christian Germanic world. But Trump is literally Hitler because he's promoting God and country. Okay. I don't get it. This is not only the end of a war, it is the end of the age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith, hope, and God. This is a historic dawn of a new Middle East. It is. And this is, Trump's 8th war he's ended? Yeah. The man who was going to start World War III is the ultimate peacemaker. Forget John Cena. Trump is the peacemaker. The president deemed dangerous and extremist by many major news outlets, I'd argue all of them, also offered congratulations and honor of Secretary of State Marco Rubio for negotiating the end of the war. Marco Rubio is not someone I really was a big fan of. I didn't see him as a rhino. I just kind of saw him as just a Republican that was there. Man, I've really softened up on him because he is really, really trying to stick with the Trump 2.0 Trump second term plan of everything he wants to do. Maybe he, saw the light. Maybe, like Patrick Bet-David said, this is a redemption arc, which really it isn't. It's more of an overcoming. I mean, like, no one could do this but Trump. Seriously, no one wanted to do this but Trump. Is honestly more of a correct way to say it. No one wanted to. I mean, when you have politicians making money, why would they want to do something that would stop the flow of their money? It's why Iran, Ukraine, fucking name it, is going on. But this is, like I was saying, this is what a leader does. He's thanking others for what the administration does. See, a real leader puts the blame on himself and puts the successes on others. A tyrant does the reverse. President Trump declares Secretary Marco Rubio will go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history of the United States. Marco will go down, and I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. Yeah, possibly. That could be very true. Now, this is a really interesting part. The Israeli people welcomed the man routinely compared to Hitler with glowing welcome, thanking him for what he's done to their people and their country. This is from Benny Johnson, a man who recently has been under attack from liberal left-wing lunatics, and thank God that he is okay, and the person that is responsible for the at least threat to his life and to his family is in custody, which I have done a video on as well. Shameless plug. This is a massive sign thanking President Trump on the beaches of Tel Aviv, and just holy shit! Look at that. That is huge. Let's see if we can see. There's a car right here for scale. You may not be able to see it, but it's really tiny. This is insane. The man who is Hitler, welcomed with, look at the thank yous chants running out in the middle of Tel Aviv, in the middle of Israel, thanking the man called Hitler.
Thank you, Trump! Thank you, Trump! Thank you, Trump!
Celebrations still underway in
Hitler,
what they're
guys.
calling
Literally
Freed
Hitler.
Square now, no longer Hostage Square.
And here we go again. Tonight on the Tel Aviv's main highway. Thank you, Mr. President. And isn't it interesting that we have to go to other nations for the man to be called president when our own news organizations won't even call him that? We have to go to other nations for this man to get fucking respect. Because the inept pussies refuse to give him any sort of credit at all. They always gotta pass it to someone else. They always gotta say it's still proof he's evil. They just can't get out of their own way. And yet somehow other countries are saying, thank you. Yet they continuously tell him that America is somehow less liked now. No, we're respected. If your enemies hate you, you're doing a good job. Okay, I don't care if China hates us. I don't care if Iran hates us. I don't care if whatever hates us. I want China to hate us. I want them to fear us. I want them to think that they could never, ever be us. Meanwhile, Trump called on the Palestinian people to choose peace and love, not hate and terror. The choice for Palestinians could not be more clear. This is their chance to turn forever from the path of terror and violence. It's been extreme. To exile the wicked forces of hate that are in their midst, just like Hitler would have done. And that's really all it is, because it's now up to Israel and Palestine. It's up to the people. And like I said, I don't trust Hamas, but at least Trump, the guy who is owned by Israel and owned by Netanyahu, told Netanyahu to his face and say, hey, be nice to these people. The war is over. You have no reason to be mean to them. You have no reason to fucking hate them. You have no reason right now. Peace has been achieved. The war is over. And now he's calling on people in other nations, mind you, that refuse to take in the citizens of Palestine, like Egypt and Jordan, to say, hey, you guys need to do this too. You guys need to hold them accountable and make sure this is everlasting. It won't be, but at least generationally, which I think is the best we can achieve right now. I mean, look at this. Live wire updates. Hamas releases all Israeli hostages from Gaza. We got Hamas frees living hostages and Israel releases the prisoners as Trump visits the region. It's even to the point where Netanyahu nominates Trump for the first non-Israeli to win nation's highest award. This is historic. And again, only Trump could have got this done because only Trump wants to get this done. And the man that they will tar and feather and label constantly without any proof, any reason other than he is on the other side as Hitler, fascist, Nazi, literally became the most welcomed man in Israel and freed Jews from captivity. Okay. Let's see how this works. Because I think this is going to just make 2026 a massive red wave. I think we could actually see a red wave in 2026 with the fallout from the Charlie Kirk and the Ukrainian refugee stabbing in the bus. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. And now with peace in the Middle East, if Trump gets peace with Ukraine next, Dems have no shot. They're fucked. Teflon Don is not a meme, it's not a nickname, it's a real thing. And to think, just a few years ago, we were a millimeter away from this not happening. Millimeters. God saved Trump and had him turn his head at just the right moment. And millimeters from more war, possibly even, I don't want to say World War III, but Kamala certainly wouldn't help. Biden wouldn't have helped, to peace in the Middle East. That's how close things can be sometimes, guys. We were a millimeter from this not happening. That's something to think about. Anyways, God bless, and may demons fear when you wake in the morning.